Friends in a Podcast. We're so glad you're here. We're your hosts, Natasha and Lindsay. It is so good to be sitting in person recording as opposed to Zoom because life has been so crazy lately.
So crazy. And I'm so thankful that you're here in person as well because for the last 2 weeks, my children have been sick, one after the other, for 2 solid weeks. So I have not had much social interaction outside of work, and work was only sometimes because they were both sick. So it started 2 weeks ago. My oldest came home, was sick and on the couch for 4 days and missed almost an entire week of school. And that's not like him. He's usually sick for 24 hours and he's good to go, running around back to his normal self. And whatever he caught was just the worst. And so he was sick, recovered from that, followed by my youngest getting something right after that. And so the last 2 weeks has just been me and my little family, and I love them to pieces. But it's been really isolating because we haven't been around a lot of other people to prevent anybody else from getting sick. And that can feel really long and lonely after a while.
I can imagine. I've been working and we've had big transitions at work, which means late nights at work usually for me, or working from home late at night. And then I went on vacation. I saw my family and we road trip to Florida. I don't know that I will ever take a car from Maine to Florida and back again, even stopping at a friend's house in DC before going to Florida the next day. It was a lot. It was very taxing on the body, but
well, we've done that before with our children, and I understand completely. It's a long drive, and when you think you're almost there, you're still not. So,
no. And I don't know how you did it with kids. I did it by myself back in my 20s and stopping at rest stops and sleeping for a few hours and then going on. If my mom's listening to this, she would actually die knowing that part of it. I've stayed at sketchy hotels, all sorts of things. And now I'm like, I like the comfort of an airplane, I think, better.
We would do that too. So except we weren't driving all the way to Florida. We would drive to North Carolina to try to save money. My husband and I would be like, well, we'll switch off and on and we'll drive straight through. Gone are those days because we can't do it. We're both miserable. We have a terrible time. We're at each other's throats because we don't do well when we're not sleeping. And I mean, the kids have a great time because they're just watching movies in the back. So they have no idea that we're on the verge. And so the last couple times that we've done it, we've gotten hotels partway through. I think our good groove is 6 to 8 hours at a time because the kids are small and, there's only so much that they can handle. And honestly, I can't handle much more either. So
I was okay with I think it took me 12-ish hours to there was some traffic and stopping along the way to get to DC. Maybe it was less than that, 10, 11 hours, but that was fine. When we drove from DC to Florida, we got stuck in traffic in Georgia and there was a 3-hour delay. Ugh. We were supposed to get there at 10:30. It ended up being 1 a.m. before we got to our Airbnb. I was so mad. We had to go through this little town and it was just exhausting, the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And I'm so sorry that happened because I know how stressful that is. And, one of the last times that we drove down and we were in the car for that long, we did find a good rhythm that if we get up at let's say we're on the road by 5 a.m. and we do, 80 to 90% of the trip in the day, we can do great. It's when we try to do it overnight that it's just a train wreck. And it's because we don't do well with that. And I can't stay awake to save my life. So I'm not doing any of the driving because I'm just passed out. And so my poor husband has to do 90% of the driving. But we found that leaving early and getting most of the trip underway throughout the day worked really well for us. But yeah, traffic jams, nobody handles that well, and it's not good. It's not a good time.
Especially whenever you're I want to be where I'm supposed to be. And then the time that you were supposed to arrive to where you were supposed to be is the time that you are now stuck in the traffic. Mm-hmm. And you just were I want to be where I'm supposed to be. It's just draining. It's so draining. But
so draining. I'm
glad to be back. It was a great trip, but I needed our girls' day out. We went to Target today. We did some shopping and I think whenever we started, we both kind of were how are we going to record today?
Oh, 100%. I told you when we got in the car, I'm feeling kind of meh. Mm-hmm. And that's all I knew how to describe it as. Nothing wrong, nothing terrible. I just meh. And once we started hanging out and we started chatting about all the stuff that's gone on in the last 2 weeks, I started to feel so much better just going over the little things about life. And it's crazy to me that even now I'm like, wow, I feel so much better.
It's so crazy how just that one-on-one interaction, connection in person can melt away the stress, help the well-being. And we've been around people this week. Like you said, you have your family, you've been around them. I've been around my workmates, but there's something about that friendship and the well-being of a friendship that helps just kind of solidify you and melt the stress away.
Oh, 100%. And I have been counting down all week. Like, okay, just make it to Saturday. You can do it. Because I've needed it because the last couple of weeks have just been crazy in that, and not even busy, just weird life stuff. And it's been really good to reconnect, have time. And so we wanted to talk about that today and how friendship plays into our well-being and how important it is to have good friendships and make time for them.
And we said from the beginning with this podcast that we never wanted to really fall into being workmates on a podcast together.
Right.
That, like, we still wanted to maintain our friendship and be friends outside of the microphone.
100%.
But it's so easy to get swept up into like, well, we got to get episodes out, so we're going to record and then not do anything outside of that and make time. But today we came up with a good plan. We went to Target, which was sporadic, which I liked that a little bit because it was kind of like the old days when I would come over to your house and we would go to Target or we would meet at Walmart, whatever you had going on that night. And then we're going for tacos later, which is my all-time favorite thing to do. So
same.
I saw this article as we were kind of prepping for this that I thought was interesting, and it was in the American Psychological Association that they did. And they talked just a lot about the risks of isolation and friendship. And one of the things in the article, it says, despite the risks, Americans are getting lonelier. In 2021, 12% of U.S. adults said they did not have any close friends. And that was up from 3% in 1990. And that was from the State of American Friendship Change, Challenges, and Loss survey in 2021. That decline began well before the COVID-19 pandemic, they said, with companionship and social engagement among friends, family, and others decreasing steadily over the past 2 decades. And that was quoted in a population health survey in 2023. And it continues to just say that social disconnection, which is rising across age groups, appears to have worsened after 2012, just with smartphones, social media, and really just being able to be in a virtual world more. And I think that we see that a lot whenever we've talked about mental health on our podcast. I think we start to see those things when we start disconnecting from the physical connection of people in our lives.
Yeah, I even just saw a commercial the other day because it's ironic that in a world with social media, which in its inception was supposed to bring people together, right? Quote unquote, bring people together. And yet you find that the effects of social media and things like that are actually pulling us more apart. And I just saw there's a cell phone commercial in our area that like they have this thing called us mode and you can turn your phone into us mode. I don't know what that does. I don't have it. I assume that it like silences your notifications for a certain period of time so that you have uninterrupted time with the people around you. And, I was thinking the other day how cool it would be if we got back to the idea of like Sunday afternoon dinners, right? Where like it was a static meeting. It's on the calendar. It happens every week. And you just have a chance to connect with your family, with your friends, and you do it all the time. And it becomes part of a rhythm of life. And I think that's such a great thing to have, some sort of rhythm where you're interacting face to face with people, because we are secluded in our culture. Like if you look at other societies and other cultures around the world, they do life in villages. They walk and get water together. They do laundry together. They're prepping their meals together. They're, shutting down the world for 2 hours at a time in the middle of the day to just pause and be together. And you don't really see that in our society in America, in today's world. And so it would be beneficial to figure out a way to do that. And, every family and every person's different. So that could be different for everybody. But some sort of way to make it a priority and get back to face interaction.
I agree. I remember when cell phones first came out, going out to dinner with my family, and my dad would challenge us to put our phones away for the remainder of the dinner. And like, when I look back at that, I think, wow, how selfish of us as teenagers or young adults to not put our phones away and just enjoy our time with our family. And so when I just went on this trip, that was kind of one of the things that I really tried to be conscious about when I was sitting with my family at a meal, is that my cell phone was tucked away and that I wasn't looking at the notification that was popping, but to be really present in the lives of the people that you're spending time with, and how good that makes you feel when you walk away from having that interaction with them.
Yeah. The days that I'm super busy, like we've been running errands or doing whatever, and I don't have time to look at my phone, I love that. And I'll look at, because you know how the iPhone tells you how much screen time you've used in that day. And when like the bars are really low, you haven't really picked up your phone much, I feel really good about that because I know that I was present. And it's sad for me that like I have to have really busy day for that to happen, because I'm not perfect at putting the phone down, and I try really hard to be present with my kids, but it's a struggle that we have because it's become so ingrained in our culture to like post a picture or check the notifications, or we're standing in line and I'm bored, so I'm just gonna scroll real quick and see what happened. And that's not necessarily great one way or the other, but I know that we all do it. And yeah, I think having set aside time to just turn it off and really focus in on, with our kids at dinner time, we'll ask them like, what are the highs and lows of your day? Like, what was something good that happened, and maybe something happened that maybe frustrated you or made you upset, so that we can kind of talk through what that feels like with them and try to give them tools so that like next time if that happens, this is what you can do. And those conversations are always really fun because we get a chance to see into their world and what's happening, and also teach them like how to have conversations and, when to wait your turn and things like that. So it's important.
And that it's okay to share how you're feeling and what's going on. And I think as adults, we need to do that more because we just get so sucked into our day-to-day of, well, I have work, I have this, and it's so easy to disconnect from everything and from the social aspect of that we need so badly by watching TV and streaming something on our phones or scrolling through Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is, and not really focusing in on our personal well-being with the relationships that we have. And for me, there's something so good about sitting face to face with you or with a friend and seeing how you respond and how you react, because I will know just by your facial expression sometimes if I'm like way off base on something, or if like, yeah, that really does, make sense, or I'm so sorry that you feel that way without you even having to say something. So there are times that I feel so validated by just sitting and talking about my heart and like what's going on. But there's also times that I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I am being a little ridiculous in my mindset about this.
Yeah, it's hard to balance, like with life and all those things. I also had a conversation this week that was really eye-opening because I didn't realize how much of the scrolling I was doing to avoid addressing other things that were bothering me. And it wasn't until I had this conversation with somebody and it like triggered that, oh, I am excessively scrolling because I don't want to talk about this other thing that's bothering me. And now that I've like kind of talked through it and we've figured out some stuff and I can take some steps, I'm like, okay, so now I need to undo this habit so that I can move forward.
Right. What's your avoidance attachment?
Yeah.
Like, what's the thing that you go to and you are trying to avoid?
100%.
Another thing that this article talked about was the strength of weak ties. And we were in Target today, and this is kind of what this article is referencing. The cashier mentioned your outfit and how cute she thought that it was. And instantly you smiled.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. And it was really uplifting to hear it, right? And because we're in that weird state right now where it's getting warmer, but not quite warm enough to wear all the way spring clothes. But you want to wear something different that's not a heavy, chunky sweater because it's too warm for that. So we're in this like weird in-between stage. So hearing that today was like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it did it, like uplifted my spirits.
Yeah, so this article was saying that having a close friend or confidant is undeniably good for us. If those little tiny interactions with strangers can boost our mood or boost even our mindset for the day, imagine just being able to sit with a good friend and having them speak into you or speak encouragement over you face to face. How much stronger your mental health is going to be, how much stronger your heart is going to feel, like all of those pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And just think too, like when we give that to somebody, even if they are that's small interaction, and we say to them like, hey, I really like your outfit or whatever, you don't know what they're facing that day. And to be able to extend it to somebody else could help them in their walk and whatever they're facing. And also it does feel good to help other people too. So being able to say that out loud to somebody else is also encouraging to us. Even if we're not receiving it, giving it can also be equally as helpful.
Yeah, it can boost your well-being too, because I think whenever you're able to give to someone else and you kind of see the joy in them receiving it and the perking up of like their spirit kind of just like validates like, oh, that was good. I'm glad I did that. Like, even for me, I'm shy. I don't like to necessarily do those things all the time, but there are moments where I'm at the store or around someone and I'm like, I need to compliment them. And it's just such a strong like feeling. Like I need to say, I like your nails or I like your hair. And to see them like boost a little bit, it's like, oh, okay, good. Like I'm glad that I said that and didn't ignore that feeling of wanting to say it.
Yeah, I felt that this week because I was not feeling super great. Like I said, we've been isolated for a couple of weeks, and I was at work and I was just like, man, I don't have it in me. Like I was just feeling low and sad, not sad, just depleted. That's the word. And I was talking to a friend of mine. We chat a lot about motherhood and our kids. And I was sharing with them like, hey, my kids are sick again for the second time in 2 weeks. And just kind of talking about how, this has been a long winter. And all of a sudden on my notifications, it said I had a Venmo gift, and I opened it and they had sent me a Venmo gift to cover dinner that night. And it like really brought tears to my eyes because I was just so depleted that to have somebody see something they could tangibly do to help in the middle of the chaos of having sick kids was just so uplifting and encouraging to feel seen in that moment. And I was so grateful, and it really did lighten my load a lot. I had barely slept the night before, and so to not have to worry about dinner that night was just what I needed. And I was so grateful for that kindness to be extended to me when I wasn't telling them I was having a rough week to get something from them by any means, but having that kindness and that generosity extended was so encouraging. And I'm still so grateful.
Relationships play such a huge part in our well-being. Just a few of the ways that we've talked about, somebody reaching out to you and gifting your family dinner for the evening. What a great way just to change the mood for an entire family, not just you, but then you're lighter. So now your family's feeling that you're lighter. So that kind of just rolls down into them as well. And stress, you feel it when people are stressed out, the tension around you. I don't have a family, but I can imagine. I work in an office with people, and so feeling that tension, and some of them are remote, so I can't imagine when you're living in a household with people, just being able to feel that tension of that. And then even in friendship, like we were talking about earlier, just being able to go walk around Target and kind of talk about life or laugh over the silly things that we were seeing in the store or whatever it is can just boost your mood and the serotonin that you're feeling so much, and kind of just pull the stress away. I started the day off with a headache. I told you, I was like, I don't feel great today. But by the time we had left Target and I had some coffee, let's be honest, I started to feel a lot better about where I was for the day.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be big and extravagant. And I think sometimes we can expect that in order to feel better, it has to be something big and extravagant or a well planned out weekend away, and maybe that's just me. But it's the little things, honestly, that over time make you feel better. And those are the little things that prove again how valuable friendship can be in the day-to-day life. Not just the big trips, not just the big experiences, but sharing life together is really where the magic happens.
So this week, think about those people in your life that encourage you and boost your well-being. Reach out to them, send an encouraging word to them, or maybe just a thank you. Like, hey, thanks for showing up for me. Thanks for being there for me. That's a wrap on this episode of Two Main Friends in a Podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can also send us an email at twomainfriends@gmail.com. And as always, leave us a review wherever you're listening.